Let me take you back to a time 5 years ago. I was 14 years old and I just started getting into the gym. It was like winter 2021 and I was in this exact same room and I just thought to myself, you know what? I want to, get in shape. I want to start building muscle because it would literally be life changing. Imagine the benefits you get from building muscle. You'd be more confident, you'd feel better, and you would literally just have something to do with the amount of time that you had. So, in this exact same room, like pretty much about 5 years ago, I just started doing push ups and sit ups. And I didn't have like a massive goal, but I was doing something. I can just remember every time I would be doing the push ups, I would just be dreading for anyone to go near my bedroom because when you're younger, you're pretty like insecure of trying new things because it's scary. But in reality, building muscle and having that goal in mind of, building an attractive physique was one of the best things that I ever did. I can think back to Christmas time 5 years ago when I got my first pair of dumbbells. I asked my mum for Christmas, can I please get some weights because I really wanted to take this serious. And from that point onwards, going to the gym and building this aesthetic physique has been life changing. If you don't know who I am quite literally just a 19-year-old kid who loves going to the gym and loves working on his fitness. I feel like I can really give you some genuine good advice. And if you're interested in that, then just keep on watching. I'm just going to give you my genuine advice on how you can build muscle just from my own experience. I'm going to show you the things that have worked for me and the things that haven't worked for me. The first and arguably the most important thing for someone to build muscle is obviously with the training. So when you go into the gym, and this is specifically for training muscle, take any exercise, for example, like with a bench press. The best way that I found in how you can build the most amount of muscle is obviously just by perfecting the technique. Let's say it's your first time in the gym. You're not going to go into the gym and start putting on as much weight as you can and just doing it in whatever way you think's best, because that's obviously not the best way to go about it. You're going to get injured, you're going to be doing things wrong, and you're literally going to make your body worse. You've got to be just a bit smart about this, and to be honest, I wasn't. When I first went to the gym, all I wanted to do was chuck on as much weight as possible and just say, yeah, right guys, I really want to bench 60 kilos. But that's obviously not the best way to build muscle. If you think about it, you go in there unprepared, you're gonna get injured. So one of the best things that you can do in your training to build the most amount of muscle is just perfect the form. And then on top of this, once you've perfected the form, you need to incorporate this thing called progressive overload. Progressive overload in its simplest form is pretty much just improving or increasing the exercise. This could be by adding more weight or adding more reps. Obviously, this isn't going to come instantly, it will come over time. So say for example, week one, you did a bench press for 60 kilos and you got 10 reps. And this was till failure. So you got them 10 reps and on the 10th rep, it was the last rep you could do. You couldn't get any more reps. And then the following week after, say you've recovered and you're stronger, now push yourself to try and get 11 reps. If you don't, and maybe you fall short and you get 10 or 9 reps, that's no problem. Just go again the next week. This whole concept of progressive overload is you want to make sure you keep the correct form, because if you don't have the right form, you're obviously going to get injured. It's just when you keep the good form and focus on getting stronger, you're also going to build more muscle. Just make sure with your training that before you go any crazy weights or try to increase the amount of weights, you perfect the form and then you try to incorporate this progressive overload. I can't emphasize how important progressive overload is to your training, because if you just went for like 3 months straight and just stuck to the same weight for the same reps, you're not going to make as much progress as if you try to increase it every single time. It's this constant push in your training which is going to create better and new results. Another tip which really helped me, and I know probably quite a few of you are going to think, what is this retarded kid saying, like he's just completely lost it. But I am telling you from my own advice, I am promising you, the best thing that you can do diet-wise to build the most amount of muscle is just eat as much meat and eggs as you possibly can. And I know what you're thinking, like, what? Meat and eggs? Why is that so important? And to be honest, I'm not that nerdy type of guy. I'm literally kind of like just a try it yourself and implement it type of guy. And what has worked for me in my own experience is when I eat as much meat and eggs as possible, and I'm talking like 10 plus eggs a day, like half a kilo of meat a day, I build way more muscle than I ever have before. I don't know if it's because maybe I'm training better or maybe it's because of something else, but I truly believe that if you eat more meat and more like these high protein, high like muscle building type foods like meat and eggs, you're going to have more resources to build more muscle. It makes sense, to be honest. You eat more muscle foods, you eat more protein rich foods, you're going to have more like resources and supplies to build more muscle. That's just the way I see it. I have like a very basic mindset. So if you're anything like me, you might be able to understand this concept. This doesn't mean neglect everything else. Like, still eat your carbs, eat your veg if you want, or your fruits. I'm not saying don't have any of that, but it's just if you can eat more meat and eggs than usual, say you're usually having 4 eggs a day, try and increase it to 6, maybe 8, and I promise you, you will see yourself build more muscle. And now obviously you need to include some of the basic things on building muscle. You can't just go to the gym 7 times a week and expect to build loads of muscle. You obviously need rest days, and this leads me into one of the most important points that I'm going to make, and that is you've got to have your own routine. If you have this incredible training split where you're hitting every muscle group perfectly, you've got the perfect diet, but it's just not sustainable for you, that's not going to build you a lot of muscle. Yes, you might be able to stick to it for a week or 2, but after that time you're going to fall off and boom, you're going to make no progress. This is why, in my own experience, it's so much more important to stick to something which you can actually stick to. Find a routine, create a workout plan that you can stick to. Maybe this is going to the gym 4 days a week. Maybe this is having a diet where it's 60% good food, 40% shit food, whatever works for you, obviously within moderation. I'm not saying have a diet where it's 100% shit food and you go to the gym like 1 time a week. Don't be a fucking bitch. Obviously push yourself, but push yourself to your limits where you know you can sustain. All I'm trying to say is don't push yourself too far in the beginning, because the most important thing is staying consistent. I can't emphasize how important it is to just stay consistent to what your plan is. Because if you don't have consistency, how the fuck can you expect to make any results? I'm not trying to be a dick or anything, but how can you expect to build muscle when you've only been going to the gym for a week or 2? And I know how you feel, because it isn't easy. Building muscle, showing up to the gym, eating the clean food, and getting the early nights is not easy. I know how you feel because I've been through this exact same situation. I was a very skinny fat kid when I was younger, and it took me years upon years of training and dieting to get where I am now. And I'm not saying I'm like a perfect physique, but I'm very happy with the progress that I made. If you can just take one thing from my own experience from today, try to stay as consistent as you possibly can. I know that's like the most basic advice, but sometimes what we truly need is just to hear the basic advice out loud. We always overcomplicate things these days by trying to get like the most optimal training split or the most optimal diet or everything like optimal, perfect, 100%. But in reality, if we just stay at like a 70% pace, but we can continue that like for months or even years, you're going to make way more progress than if you had like these brief moments of being at 100%. I'm genuinely telling you that the most important thing from my own experience of me lifting for like 5+ years is just staying consistent. The thing which really helped me when things were getting tough in the gym, when I didn't feel like showing up or I didn't want to eat that food, was just obviously the end goal. If you can picture your dream physique where you've got, I don't know, big shoulders, big chest, just like the ideal physique, which whatever you want, picture that and really think about it and really just visualize your dream physique. I always found that if I could picture like my dream, my goal in my head, I was way more motivated and disciplined to stick to the actions which would get me that result. I know this journey is not going to be easy because it wasn't easy for me. But if you truly want to make a change in your life, just try to stick to a few of these principles and I can promise you, you will see a difference. Going to the gym when I was like 13, 14 years old has genuinely been life-changing for me. I hope that you can also get the same value as I got, because improving yourself through these good habits like going to the gym or exercising is truly life-changing. I appreciate you taking interest in this because it genuinely shows that you want to improve your life, and I will help you in every way that I can because I know how tough life can be sometimes. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.